there's a couple things that I had written down just to have topics to talk about.
What you got, man?
So one of these is like, I know you're an outdoors dude. I know you enjoy.
Since I could walk.
Yeah, right. Hunting, fishing, all the stuff. So I guess my question is, what's the craziest outdoor challenge that you think you've taken on? I mean,
challenge.
Yeah, I mean, like as far as weather, you didn't really know, like what you don't have really a plan. You go somewhere and
just wing it and try to make something happen.
it, but it was a challenge. You know what I mean? Like something to talk about. Like you went to do something, you thought it was going to go one way, maybe it became a big challenge.
There's a handful of those that have happened to me.
What's the most memorable one that you can think of?
To be honest, most of the time it's getting your darn vehicle stuck when you ain't trying to. That will turn a trip to shambles and test everybody's patience. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when you mention challenge. Because sometimes it gets muddy out there, dude. You don't go kill animals on the concrete.
Yeah.
You got to go to the woods.
Right.
And then sometimes you got to drive a long way through the woods. Now, how many people have driven on that road and created ruts and all this, that, and the other for you to get stuck in? So you got to consider that. But, I don't know, man. This one time I went hunting, and this was so close to the house. I was using my dad's truck. We killed a pig, and I drove his truck where I definitely should not have. It was more downhill than I thought, and there was no way turning around. I don't know what I was thinking. I was in high school at the time.
Yeah.
And I had my brother with me and some people. And shout out to my brother Dakota, because he dug with his hands a trench for both tires on both sides of the truck for like 80 yards. No lie. Maybe more. And we just backed the truck up to these trenches that he dug.
That's crazy.
So crazy, dude. But mind you, my dad has work on Monday. This is Sunday. So we're doing this, and I call every wrecker I could possibly call, any friends that know a wrecker, anybody. And I get a hold of this guy off of a Google phone number on my phone. I call him, and I explain what's going on. And he goes, man, look, I'm eating dinner with my family. I'll be there in about 45 minutes. I said, okay.
Wow.
Waited. I tried to get the truck as far as I could, close as I could, so he could pull me out. And he did. He pulled me out like a professional.
That's crazy.
But saving grace, we got a pig, but man, did we work for it.
Yeah. Well, I remember us we weren't hunting, but my dad used to like to get a little Crown Royal from the
good stuff.
Yeah, from the Jewett liquor store, Jewett, Texas. And he'd throw my brother in the driver's seat. My brother would drive us around, and we'd go take off to the Jewett coal mines because that was a fun place to drive around at night, just hang out. And I'm pretty sure we had guns. Like if we saw a rodent or whatever, we probably would have shot it. But anyways, so my brother's driving. I remember we're creeping up this pipeline right away, and all of a sudden, boom, we fall off in this hole. It felt like, the front end's just...
Oh, you're tired? Oh,
front end's just
story.
Off.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because you said that, and this reminded me of this.
Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying?
So we get out of the truck. My dad's half lit, and I wasn't tall at the time, but I could still stand under the front axle. The tires are hanging off, and this was before Google.
Oh,
and before
these fancy phones.
This was right whenever the car phone came. I'm pretty sure we had the bag phone.
So this is in the 90s, guys. We're talking probably early 90s.
Yeah, no, we're talking, this is late 90s. So
late 90s?
Yeah, we're talking, I moved to Texas back in
97, something like that.
Yeah, 97, 98, and this was right around after that. Because my dad got a dually, and we loved to go around, four-wheel drive dually. So we go drive around and just, cut up.
Yeah.
So, again, we hit the liquor store, go get stuck. So my dad had a friend, and I'm telling you, it was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're stuck. Now, this is Jewett, Texas. Ain't no wreckers close by. There's nobody that we could call.
You better have a friend.
We had a friend, Dewey. Dewey comes out, and we're in a 1-ton dually.
Heavy truck.
Heavy truck. And
What's he show up with?
It had the 6.5 in it, so we're heavy. We're loaded down.
Oh, yeah.
And Dewey shows up in a 3/4 ton Z71. It might even been a half ton. I think it was a half ton Z71.
That's that Chevy.
Puts it in 4-wheel drive, hooks the chain up to the axle in the back, the frame. Gives it about 3 good, bam, 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 boom, and we're pulled up out of there. And listen, that story's not that crazy, but here's the crazy part of the story. How did he know where we were? There's no GPS. There's no...
Your dad was toasted. He's like, look,
my dad's
Dewey,
toasted.
Check it out. I'm over here by the thing. Turn right. I'm over there. You'll see the headlights.
And I just asked my dad about this story at New Year's. He was up there in Arkansas with us. And he was like, I knew where we were. And I was thinking, man, I don't know how you knew it, because I had no idea where we were. And I got a pretty good sense of direction, But I'm thinking, most likely because I'm younger, didn't really know what was going on. But, yeah, we just creeping and, bam, fall off in the hole.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Man, I got one more story. It's a quicker story. So this was one of those 2 a.m. things that we didn't get out of the woods because... And it's funny because me and my dad were hunting. The Super Bowl's coming up, right?
Right.
Well, me and my dad were hunting on the night of the Super Bowl in Cleveland, and we're hooked. We're waiting for pigs. We sitting there from 3 o'clock till dark. Gets dark about 6. I remember my dad was standing taking a leak out of the back of the stand, and I'm sitting down in the chair, and then I look out the window. And I see a bunch of pigs come out. And I'm telling you, it is to the point of twilight dark. Like, we're just waiting the extra few minutes, hoping something comes out. So I'm nudging my dad. Dad, there's hogs. So, boom, he sits back down, fixes himself up, and boom, shoots the biggest one he could see. And this pig was probably 280, 300 pounds. But me and him, I was only, maybe 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And then... one of those things. This was back then when you didn't have all these fancy phones. I think he had one of those StarTech, little folding black phones. Well, he calls his buddy Tony, funny enough.
Yeah.
And so he comes out there in his Jeep, and he helped us load it up. He's like, you son of a gun, making me come out here on the Super Bowl. Then so we ended up getting that pig done and taken care of. But that's just a funny little story,
Yeah. Yeah. That's...
shooting something and not being able to load it. Granted, nowadays myself would know just to start cleaning the animal right there in the road.
Right.
But my dad back then, he wanted to hang it.
Yeah.
So
hang it up.
That's what we called Buddy to come out and help us.
Yeah, man. It's always nice to have a good buddy.
Oh, yeah. They're the best because, they're the only people you can really count on.
Yeah. I keep a really small circle, I'm expanding little by little when I'm finding, legit businessmen.
Legit business.
I mean, legit business. But yeah, man, this is fun.
Hope y'all are liking this real camp talk that we got going on right now.
Yeah, we're just having fun, just talking. I'm a little tired, actually. It's later on in the night, so I'm not as talkative as I usually am. But, it is what it is.
This is the real camp talk. We're going to just spit it how it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be tired sometimes. Sometimes we're going to be lit sometimes.
Sometimes we may not be making as much sense, but, we're going to have fun doing it.
That's right. That's what it's all about. Matter of fact, I was looking at something the other day. Oh, I was just thinking about it. How many people, like, really do you think don't like to hunt? I mean,
some people don't understand. Some of those people that don't like to hunt have no problem picking up some dang pork chops at the dang grocery store. That I don't get.
But I mean, it's like is it an area that people don't, like if you're from Louisiana, I mean, unless you're just like, you don't like getting dirty and stuff like that.
Chances are 95% of people in Louisiana are down to go sit in the woods, shoot a deer, shoot a pig, snatch up an alligator or a rabbit, or go bird hunting. because ducks are the best thing to hunt in Louisiana. You know, so
Yeah. I want to look this up. How many registered hunters are in the United States?
oh, there you go.
So
Ooh, that's a good one.
in 2024, there were 15.9 million people in the United States who had paid for a hunting license, which is it says a small decrease from the previous year. So if that's the case,
Hold on. How many people live in the U.S.? Let me see here. I'm looking it up so we can compare numbers.
well, it says right here that in 2022, hunters made up only 4.8% of the U.S. population. That's insane.
That is pretty wild. But, you know, the thing is, without hunters and conservation, a lot of these animals would not be protected. These animals wouldn't have any regulations. They wouldn't be protected. We make sure that the population is healthy to hunt. We're not going to go out and shoot stuff that doesn't have a chance of surviving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and you can guess who has the most registered hunters.
I mean, I would say it's Texas. Would you look at
100%.
that?
Texas with over 1.1 million registered
Well, Texas
hunters.
is cheating. They probably also have like 5 million more acres.
Yeah, I mean, I know we got more land, but I mean, if you think about like Wyoming and
But those are the places where you have a house, and then 3 miles down the road you have a house, and then you have like these little places like Jackson.
yeah, there's
Hole.
not as many, like it's not as big of a population,
Right.
but I mean, they got a lot more
Man, look,
beautiful
listen.
land to hunt on.
I was driving to your house earlier. Look, I was coming out of Texas,
Yeah,
and I see these guys pulling out of a side road of their property. My guess is that they hunt on it. They had a side-by-side on the back of their trailer. In the side-by-side, in the bed of the little side-by-side's truck, they had their dog cage with their dogs in it.
right.
And what they have on top of that dog cage? 2 hogs.
Wow.
Hog-tied. Hog-tied means got their all 4 feet tied together.
Yeah.
And then they're chained up to the top of the buggy. And they're alive. These guys were taking these hogs home. they didn't even kill them. They're, who knows? They could have had a pen to put them in the house to raise them, to feed them out, or sell them. Sometimes they take them and sell them. But
Hey,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's Texas.
Yeah, that's Texas for you. But they might be holding them, and that way they can kill them right before they clean them.
That's another thing, because it wasn't that cold today.
Yeah.
And you don't really want to go kill them when it's real hot if you don't have the means to get them on ice real fast.
Right. But, I mean, back to this decline of hunting and fishing. This is crazy. So I'm seeing that it says in 1982 was the peak.
That's when we
of
had real
hunters.
men.
Yeah, that's where according
That's
to
when there
Casey
was
Rocket,
real men.
men were men.
Men were men back then. Nowadays,
Men were men.
the stuff going on nowadays in 1982 got handled.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. It
was legit business.
It's legit business. Stuff is getting out of hand nowadays, and I think that has a contribution to those numbers.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why we need more of y'all to listen, hang out, realize how much fun that there is to have out in the woods. It's not always about killing something. You could go out there and shoot something with your camera.
That's right.
I don't always kill when I go to the woods. I have a camera with me. So if I'm sitting and I see something that's younger, some things that are, I don't care to shoot, I pull my camera out and take a picture of it, because that is some stuff that you are never going to see from your couch.
That's right. And hey, we just started a YouTube channel, so we're going to be loading up some of this content. We've got a friend. We'll mention his name later on. We're going to get some footage from him, talk about it, bring him on the show as a guest from time to time. But yeah, it's going to be cool. Like, we're going to load up. If y'all want to send us some clips to load up, if we think it's cool and y'all are cool with us loading it up, we'll do that and just have a platform.
Ideas, any kind of thing you want us to talk about, something to cover that y'all find is interesting.
Yeah. We want to create a platform that's just open, and fun. As a matter of fact, I want to talk about a couple facts that I found out recently. So it seems that some of the first hunters, did you know, I was looking this up, bro, who were some of the first hunters in the United States, right? So, I know
Are we
that
talking Native Americans here?
yeah, well, like Native Americans, but Nimrod, which was described in the Bible, was like one of the first, you know, written hunters. You know, like that was the first time that a hunter was ever mentioned on
that
paper.
was like recorded, was talked about.
Right. But I was
But we've been hunting since the dawn of time.
right. I mean, hunting was
I mean, there's no way that we would have survived without providing for ourselves back then. I mean, we're talking no shoes.
yeah, you got to hunt.
You got to hunt.
So but I did look up a couple things. So like the first recorded hunters in the United States was Paleo Indians.
Oh, because they made those arrowheads and stuff, huh?
Right, and they arrived in America probably 13,000 years ago, I assume. And they used, they're the ones that use stones.
Think about that. 13,000 years ago.
Yeah.
There was people picking up rocks, hitting them together, and making some of the coolest things to make a spear out of, to put it on a stick, to shoot it as an arrow. Man, people are spectacular, I tell you.
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy thing, and then women actually served a big part in early hunting history. I mean, it said that the Willamaya, I guess that's how you pronounce it, is the female hunter is the earliest known hunter and hunter burial in the Americas. So like there's also a hunter, Alicia Wallen, led the first major recorded long hunt in Tennessee in 1761. James Smith led a long hunt into Tennessee in 1766.
You know, it's actually illegal to walk around on public land and find an arrowhead and pick it up and keep it.
I did not know that.
You cannot do that.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And arrowheads are some of the most interesting thing to me, just because another human at some point made this. And there's a creek right by my house that actually has arrowheads. And how I know this is because there's a dude that I know that's an arrowhead head, and he knows these things. I'm not going to say any names or whatnot, but he showed me this area, and you can see, like, along the creek bed where, like, people are going out trying to find artifacts. They're digging holes under these pine trees.
Yeah, that's
hiding
crazy.
Buckets and shovels, and they're finding these arrowheads. He showed me some that he found out there, and it's some of the wildest stuff. And this is like 2 miles from my house.
Right.
That Native Americans used to live and thrive, do what they do, right there next to the creek by the fresh water.
Yeah, I think history is super important. I mean, talking about some of this stuff may spark somebody else to go get some more information and, lead on to other things. Because, I mean, like, think about, for real, 13,000 years ago. I mean, just think about in biblical times even, where man was made, and then, all right, I'm going to make these animals, and this is what you're going to be eating. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I think about some of these things where who was the first one to think of some of this stuff that's been invented? Where was their mind? How did they even think we might need something like this? If you think about any invention, period.
We're talking, who figured out electricity? We know what, Thomas Edison?
Yeah.
That's some of the most wild stuff as like a human progressing.
Yeah, I mean, he had to have experienced something that was like, it had something sparked. Like he saw lightning somehow or static.
What if it was something they saw in their dream?
He might have.
You never know. What do you dream about back then?
I also think, though, until you like when you vision something and you have a need to try to figure something out, that's when you find a way to do something. But I also think that some of us are born with a creative mindset, and we think of things differently, and that's why there's so many different people, and we all walk our own way, and I always encourage people to be original, be yourself. Don't try to look at somebody else and be like them, be you. I've always wanted to be me. I've always had vision
of yourself, the best version.
Like for real though, like that's who I am. I've always wanted to create something, and do something different. You know what I mean? Like,
You're an entertainer, man.
well, I feel like God put me on this earth to be a provider, and whatever that means, is what it is. Like, sometimes I provide services for people on electrical, and sometimes, I provide knowledge but it's like I have the ability just to understand certain things and like, okay, I can do this, but I also know there's so many things that I'm not good at. Like I'm good at creating something, but keeping it going and doing the same thing over and over is not something that I'm a big fan of.
It gets monotonous. It gets to the point where, it's where can I change it? How can I make this more? How can I make this more interesting? I've already done all of it.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what I think this podcast is for me, is that it's always going to be different. Yeah, we're going to sit down in chairs. We may or may not be here, though. We may be on the road somewhere. We might pull up the camper up.
That's the beauty of the podcast,
Yeah, I mean, but that's what my point is like, it's great to be able to, like adapt and do different things for me, but some people, they need to go sit at a desk every day and do the same thing over and over again. Some
people are happy with that,
right.
And there's certain people that like to get out, create and move on and exceed to the best of its ability. Some people they get complacent,
Right.
That's the thing. You get to a point where your bills are paid, you're making money, you're this, you're that, you're stable. And some people are cool with that. But then there's people that want to just blast past that.
Right.
know?
And I think that was like, where I was kind of going with this is the different levels of, this person can do this and this person can create, this person's a follower, this person's a teacher, this person's this. It's like, that's what, we're all made of, is being unique in our own way, because everybody can't do the same thing.
That's how a society works.
And that's the brilliance of like, even, I guess, as far as this hunting stuff we're talking about, we talk about that in the 80s, 8%. I mean, 8% of the population hunts. That's crazy to me, that all the food that we have available. I know there's like, of course, farms, and the farmers have cows that they process, and we're not talking about that as far as hunting goes, but really like
going out in the
8%
woods,
of people hunt.
getting some food.
I thought the number was going to be closer to 50%. I'm just going to be real.
Wild,
I had no idea that it was going to be so low.
I didn't think that much, but I am kind of shocked at the current percentage and the percentage. It has halved itself.
Right.
In the last 25 years.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if it's
45 years.
Yeah. Well, it's
40 some odd years.
40 some years. But I think also a lot of the stuff that the reason people aren't going out to hunt is because we have to work more. You know what I mean? Like, we're having to pay for more things. We're not having as much time.
Everything's costing more.
Right. That's part of it. But then I also think that just y'all quit creating easy ways to get things. Stop.
Yeah.
People, please.
All
bro.
the inventors that are just shortcutting everything.
Look,
for
man,
people.
get rid of DoorDash. Let's get rid of all this stuff, because I'm for real. If we could just go back to the whole handshake thing.
Get rid of Chat GPT so that all these kids can quit cheating in school and everybody gets the easy way out. Eventually, we're not going to be able to think on our own.
Yeah, I agree. It's very hard to do certain things. I mean, I'm on the fence about the Chat GPT thing.
Well, that was generalized.
Well, look, I hear what you're saying with
AI.
it, but here's, for me, I think it needs to be an age limit thing. Like, where if you're under the age of 35, you can't use Chat GPT.
I mean, that
because like if you're 35, you know how to use Chat GPT. You're not going to use it you're going to use it for your benefit, to save you some time on certain things that I'm trying to save time for my customers and all that. You know?
Look, everything in this world needs to become cheaper so more things are able to afford. So on that note, get rid of Chat GPT and hire somebody that is able to do Chat GPT. But rewind a few words back to what I said. The whole world needs to be more affordable.
I mean, what if it was just a license on it?
There you go. There you go.
Like, to use Chat GPT, you got to be licensed. But I mean, the reason I'm saying this is because I'm a business owner, and whenever I'm, like I'm in the field, I'm doing the estimates, I'm doing the, looking at the jobs, getting everything typed up, all this stuff. So when I'm putting a proposal together, sometimes it's easy to put in a few words and say, hey, make me something that's, presentable, because I just rather would spend my time
Right.
getting shopping around for parts to make it cheaper for them or whatever than typing up this thing, or paying somebody a massive amount of money and then having to charge them, because I mean it's a service. I have to charge.
No, that's what I'm saying.
What I'm providing.
Everything needs to be more affordable. At
Right.
this point, everything's like skyrocketing. The last few years that we've had in America, every single thing has been climbing. There's no ceiling to it. It's at some points it's like I got 6 things in my cart.
Yeah.
And it's $80.
Right.
Like,
well, I mean, look, but without getting into the politics of this, the reason that everything's so high right now is because we're buying outside of America.
Yes.
And we're not drilling here. We're not creating opportunity here. So when gas is higher, transportation's higher, costs more.
exactly.
And
Everything.
so now that puts us in a place where we really can't save the money that we would have saved from buying things overseas because it costs so much to deliver it. So, see, that's like, it's a no-brainer for me. I don't understand where America's been at the past 4 years.
Right.
People are really defending this thing. And I understand that this might affect people, but for me, it ain't going to affect me because I've always done business in America. I don't buy anything outside of America, even if it costs me a little bit more. And so, and
Exactly.
people are saying, hey, why don't you order this in bulk overseas? Because I don't want to. I want quality parts. When my customer calls me and I'm going to provide a service for them, I want something to last. I don't want some cheap stuff that's going to break the lid as soon as I put it up, or, I'm ordering a light fixture from overseas.
And you got to do it 2 or 3 times before you get a good one.
Right. And I mean, so for me, it's more about the principle of doing things in America. And I think that, like I say, I don't care who, I mean, I do care who's president, but it doesn't really matter to me, like, if a Democrat or Republican is in office, as long as, like, we're doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing, man.
But it's gotten
so simple.
It's gotten, blurred lines, like the this side stepping on this side, and I feel like right now, I'm not going. You should be on the side for America. That's what side I'm on.
I mean, I don't know the facts on this. You might even know it. There was a Democratic president at one point in time, and I'm not saying Democrat over Republican because one's better than the other. But the point of this is, I think. I want to say Nixon, somebody.
Yeah.
But the thing is he did everything right. He did everything that he came into the presidency saying that he was going to do, and he did it. So there was really no improvement. He held up to his word, and that's all. That's a big thing, And everybody wants to chop everybody else down, but I mean,
yeah, I mean it
is what it is. If you can be whoever. Just freaking do what's best for everyone.
Well, and I think it's uplifting each other. We as Americans, forget the president. We have fate in our own hands, and I'm gonna tell you, I know this because if you ask people that know me, I bring this up sometimes, but only to humble myself. I've slept on the floor before. I've been homeless. I get what it's like not to have things, and it's easy to reach your hand out and be like, "Hey, can I have some help?" and all that when you're down. But getting it on your own and putting your feet on the ground and going and getting your own stuff, like, there's no greater feeling. I mean, and I've been able to turn my life around very quickly. Yeah. I mean, I learned a trade. That's something that I did have going for me. But
anybody learning a trade out there, stick with it.
Stick with the trades.
Take care of your hours. Do all the things that you need to do. Don't slip on it. Don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
Just some advice.
And this right here. I always will say this to anybody that's young that may or may not know what they're doing or wanting to do with their life. Find whatever you're passionate about. Whatever that is. Now, be realistic.
Right.
But, like, find something that you're passionate about. It took me a couple things to find out what I was truly passionate about, and that was electrical, But I felt like, I mean, if you know me, you know I'm a very passionate person. So anything that I'm doing, I'm going to put my all behind it, and I want to be good at it, because I did floors, I did oil field work, I worked on music, you know, I mean, became an electrician, and the electrical is what I stuck with the longest, I think. I mean, it's fun. I like going to different houses and talking to different people. It was the thing I was mentioning earlier. I got to be the one that's doing different things,
Right. It's always nice meeting those people.
Yeah, but it's just nice being in. I don't know how people can, like, I respect y'all guys, but I don't know how you can just stay and look at the same wall and go look at the same computer every day. I have to go do something different. It's just
put your hands on something. I couldn't sit there and a lot of even the people that are working at home in the comfort of home. That's got to be so, because you never have a point of being off. You're there. If they call you, if they email you, you're there.
Right.
You do it.
Do it.
You're tied up.
Right.
I mean, that it might be cool to an extent because you're there with your family all the time, but then again, that could be a freaking headache. It is what it is.
Now,
you're
people
trying
need
to
their
focus.
space.
You're trying to focus and do things.
Yeah. People need their space, though.
That's right. That's what the office is for.
Yeah, you got to have, like, men, I know y'all feel me on this, but we got to have a man cave. Especially, I mean, I got a wife and 3 daughters and 2 girl dogs. Never get any time.
Yeah, you need that mail room.
Yeah. So I'm excited about moving soon. Get me a man cave. You know what I mean?
Oh, we're going to get these cameras set up. You're going to get to see who we are, how we are. It's going to be nice and comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, all these episodes are going to be different. Everything, episode to episode, you might not know what we're going to talk about. So stay tuned in. We're definitely going to be talking about any and everything. Actually, tomorrow we're going to go set up a game camera out in Quitman, Louisiana, at one of my properties out there. Got something making some ruts.
Family out there thinks it might be an armadillo, but
a lot of activity.
Seems like it's moving a little bit more than what an armadillo might. But I'll tell you one thing: this camera we got is a 360-degree camera, so there ain't nothing getting by. We're gonna see it. Thanks for listening to us, guys, and just stay tuned for the next one.
Yeah, for sure. Good night.